Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about how long does it take and how many hours does it take to learn medical billing and coding. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So, this advice applies even if you have experience as a nurse, even if you have medical background, okay? Everybody is the same when it comes to learning medical billing and coding. This is not a knock on anyone's intelligence. This is not to say that you're not going to be able to pick this up quicker than other people, or that you will be able to complete a program in a lesser amount of time. This is to say that you need this time, you need these hours, because it is going to prepare you to be a confident and solid medical coder or medical biller, whichever one you end up get into, when you get out into the real world. Friends, there's a lot that we have to know as a medical coder and even as a medical biller. There's a lot of things that we have to know. And while having transferable skill is a great thing, it is not everything, okay? So I want to point something out to everybody as well. Providers oftentimes do not understand what we are saying as coders because they think differently. They're thinking about the patient and they're thinking about their treatments and everything like that. We, on the other hand, know all of the rules. We know about the updates. We know about the codes. We know how certain situations require a certain way to code, and while in other situations, the sequencing is going to be different, and how in certain situations, certain things are not going to get picked up, but other things are. So there's a lot of detail that goes into what we do. Now, I said it in the video that this viewer inspired today's episode. And she said, for someone with no experience, how many months with 20 hours per week of study? And even in the video, I said, okay, so everybody can listen up. It takes 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months to learn medical billing and coding. 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months at 20 hours per week. 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months at 20 hours per week. It doesn't matter if you have been a nurse. It does not matter if you have been a coder who is selected from a super bill for a provider that you worked for. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you've been a biller. And oh yes, some of this is really familiar to me. I had a client who told me a few weeks ago that, well, Blue, I'm a biller, so this is very familiar to me. Okay, really? So can you tell me about the global period and what does that mean? No. Can you tell me about mother baby and what are the required codes when a mother is being seen before they deliver their baby? No. Can you tell me anything about evaluation and management? Well, couldn't tell me anything. So this is why I tell everybody, guys, okay? It takes 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, and at 20 hours per week. This is going to get you a solid, steady foundation of knowledge so that when you get out into the real world, you will be prepared. There's a lot of schools that talk about, oh yeah, you can learn in just a few months, and you can learn in 2 months, you can learn in 4 months, or we can get you on your way to a brand new career in just 6 months. Those people are trying to sell a program. I don't have a program to sell. I don't. Do I have services? Yes, but only because you all requested it. That is the only reason that I have that. Because when I started my channel, I didn't even think about tutoring. I didn't think about professional coaching. I did not think about resume rewrites. I didn't think about any of these things. I didn't even have a Patreon channel back then, okay? Now I have all of these things because this is what has been requested of me, okay? Well, with that aside, let's think about this for a second here. If you are thinking that you're going to rush into this career field, here's a few things that you got to know. Aside from medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology, and pharma, aside from all of that, right, which you need to get at least a foundation, a steady idea of what's going on, you're also going to be learning about medical reimbursement, right, which you're going to learn about DRGs, MSDRGs, you're going to learn about RVUs, you're going to learn about all of these things when it comes to that. And commercial and government insurance, and the differences between the two. Okay, you're going to be learning about all of that in reimbursement. All right, then you're going to be learning about medical law and ethics, which is going to bring up HIPAA. You have to know about your technical safeguards, your administrative safeguards, your physical safeguards. You got to know about all of those things. Medical law and ethics is a lot to do in there, okay? And then you got to learn about high tech. You got to learn about all of these things. And when there's a breach, how soon do you report it? When do you report it? How many people have to be impacted in order for you to report these things? Okay, so there's all of those things there. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even gotten into the coding yet. But let's go ahead and get into the coding now, okay? So not only will you, when you get into ICD-10-CM, which is your diagnosis coding, but you're going to be learning about the coding guidelines, right? You don't have to memorize them, but you do need to read them at least once a week. If you read them, even though it doesn't make sense to you, even though if you read them once per week, guess what's going to happen in 9 months? Guess what's going to happen in 12 months? Guess what's going to happen in 18 months? You read them consistently every single week, you're going to become a faster reader. You are going to understand, because you're not going to understand it right now, but when you get into the real world, you will. It will start to make more sense to you. You're going to be able to, your brain is going to be working to process information much more quickly than you were before, because it is about building discipline. It is about building that stamina, okay, when it comes to information and your speed in gathering this information. It is possible for anybody, regardless of what you've been doing. My stay-at-home moms, my kids that just graduated from high school, and you're wondering what you should be doing, these are things that you can be doing. My retirees, right? You retired and you're not ready. You're not ready for retirement yet. You want to keep on working and you want to do a second career. Well, guess what? This will give you that mental stimulation to get you going. But yeah, that's what you're going to be reading about. That's what you're going to be doing, because those ICD-10-CM official coding guidelines, that's our playbook. That is what we use to help us to know how to code diagnoses. When I see somebody come to me for help, I know who has read the guidelines and I know who hasn't. Because sometimes a lot of the questions that they're getting confused on, that they don't understand about injury coding, all of that is in the coding guidelines. Well, I'm confused about inpatient coding, and what is the difference? That's also in the coding guidelines as well. So when you're learning ICD-10-CM, right, you're going to be learning about sequencing. You're going to be learning about code specificity. You're going to be learning about injuries, initial, subsequent, or sequela. You have to understand all of that. You have to understand about mother-baby. You have to understand about when certain codes apply when you're coding for mother-baby. And you got to know about those rules, right? You know that those baby codes cannot go on the mother's chart and vice versa, right? You got to know about all of that. You got to know about your external cause codes when a patient is injured. You got to know about place of occurrence and when does that apply, because there's specific rules about when place of occurrence applies, activity codes when they apply, and all of these things, right? And you got to know about the wording, because fight, if somebody was in a fist fight, it's going to be under the word brawl in the index. You got to learn about using the index and then going into the tabular to confirm, because a lot of you get excited when you see a full code there and thinking, oh yeah, I don't have to flip back to the tabular section. Yeah, you do, because guess what? There's all kinds of instructional notes in that tabular section, so that way you know which other codes to add, because a lot of people are confused about that as well. When do I report the Z codes, and why do I have to add all these Z codes? There's a language that's being spoken here in this document, and it is your job as a coder to translate that into the codes. And so that way, when they're pulling this data for statistical purposes or for insurance reasons, it's going to be in the correct order. It's going to be in the correct sequence. It's going to be all right, like it's supposed to be. It's not going to be misleading. It's not going to be unspecific, because we are supposed to code to the highest level of specificity when it comes to the diagnosis codes. And keep in mind, every single year, the coding guidelines, they do get updated. It's not drastic, but they do update. Okay, and right now we're in ICD-10. I see people getting all excited about ICD-11. Do you know all the things that have to happen in order for ICD-11 to come out? There's a lot of things that have to happen in order for ICD-11 to come out. And that is years down the road. I don't know why people are talking about it right now. I think it's a waste of time, but I'm just saying. So there's that. Then there's the CPT book, the current procedural terminology book. Now you got to learn about the global period. What does the global period mean? What does the global package include? When we talk about surgeries, there's 0, 10, and 90-day global periods to think about. What does a 0-day global mean? What is included in that? What is included in a 10-day global period? What is included in a 90-day global period? What about modifiers? When do those apply? Certain modifiers only apply to evaluation and management codes, and other modifiers only apply to the CPT codes, the procedure codes. And some of these codes are for services. And when do we report those? Okay, so there's all of those things. And what do we do when there's only a part of a procedure that is performed? How do we report this? Those are questions that you're going to be able to answer when you're studying that. Then there's the HCPCS book. HCPCS is full of in certain government programs like Medicare will use the HCPCS G codes for their colonoscopies, because there's 2 different ones, and one is for high risk colonoscopy patients, and then the other one is your average screening risk, right? For your colonoscopies. They do this so that they can run these reports a lot easier, so they can get the data about how many people are high risk and how many are average screening and when are they going in, and all these other factors that go into that. Okay, so HCPCS also covers the HCPCS level 2. It also covers bandages, durable medical equipment like crutches and wheelchairs and walkers and all kinds of things. So it's learning about all of that. Then if you're studying for a medical coding certification that requires you to know about inpatient coding, right, with the ICD-10 PCS manual, you got to learn about that as well. ICD-10 PCS, these codes, a lot of them are not made already. With CPT, those codes are already made. The only thing you're doing is adding modifiers if it's needed. Okay, there are 5 digits in the CPT for those procedures, right? 5 digits. Whereas in ICD-10 PCS, it's 7, and you can change each letter based on what the approach was, what the purpose was, whether it was a biopsy, whether it was there was no qualifier that was needed. There's a lot of different questions that get answered when you're looking at studying for ICD-10 PCS. And there's a difference in some of these procedures. It's not as easy as you might think, because the way that they think about repairs is a lot different than CPT thinks about repairs. And they use different words in ICD-10 PCS, like extirpation. I had never heard of that word until I started learning about ICD-10 PCS. Okay? Then there's the difference between coding for inpatient coding and outpatient coding, because there is a difference. And there's also professional fee coding. There's same-day surgery coding, right? Where you're coding for surgeries. So there's a lot of different things. And each one of these, ICD-10 CM and CPT and ICD-10 PCS, all have a breakdown of different systems, different procedures, right? And in ICD-10 CM, you have all the specialties. You have all the specialties, and you have codes from A to Z. Your A codes all the way to your Z codes. And you got to learn about how all of those things work. And every place that you go and you work, you will have to report a diagnosis code, right? Now, when it comes to which procedures do you have to code, that's knowing where you are and what setting that you're coding in is going to affect which codes are going to be applied when it comes to the procedures, whether it is ICD-10 PCS or whether it is CPT, okay? So there's a lot of things that you have to learn when you're learning coding. It is not just those things, okay? Then you have to learn about queries, because sometimes a provider will document there will be information that is missing. The coder will need to send a query, and the query cannot be leading the witness. You have to allow the provider to be able to state what it was and what was going on, so that way you're not leading them, because otherwise it looks like you're trying to help them get more money and that kind of thing, when the only thing you're trying to do is confirm. What did they do? They need to clarify, okay? Because doctors are not meant to be coders, so they don't know. They don't know sometimes. And again, it takes a strong coder to be able to be willing to educate these providers who can be intimidating, okay? But it's not impossible to do. It is just something that you need to be prepared for, okay? So there's all of those things, and that's just the things that I'm thinking off the top of my head right now. But those are the bulk of the things that you're going to be learning when you get into learning medical billing and coding. I'm not telling y'all this so that y'all can be discouraged. I'm not telling y'all so that y'all can, second guess what you got into. I put in the description box of every single one of my videos my services. I put in a list of books that I recommend, because I always get those questions about, like, what books do you recommend? What books do you recommend? It's literally right there. I was going to say the job title. The book titles are there. There's the Amazon affiliate links. You don't have to click on the Amazon affiliate links, right? For those of you who want to cry and whine in my messages about how, you put the Amazon affiliate links there. Don't click on it. That's why there is the book title, so that way you can know, okay, this is the book that she recommends. Go to the public library and go check it out. Or you can order it from wherever you get your books, so that way you can learn. I always try to make it so easy on y'all, as far as like easier on your wallet, easier on your pocket, because you can learn this on your own. I give y'all the independent study syllabus, which is right after all of those books that I recommend, right? I give you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7. There's 7 steps to learning medical billing and coding. And I give you all the steps right there. That's the independent study syllabus that is towards the end of the description box. And I also give you the estimated time. I say 3 months in some subjects, 4 months in other subjects. If it's going to take you longer, it's because you're not putting enough time into it. If you are putting 20 hours per week, you will be able to make it through in 3 months, or you will be able to make it through in 4 months. Okay, but if you need a little longer, you need a little longer. I mean, it's just an estimate. It's not set in stone, okay? But it's just to help you. And if you follow my independent study syllabus that I give y'all so willingly for free, it'll get you through in 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, depending on how fast you want to do it. If you need to adjust the time a little bit more, something comes up in life, that's okay. You can do that. You have the power to do that. You have the power to adjust, learning. But you can learn this on your own. You can learn it from a book. You can learn it from the independent study syllabus, which many people have done, because I've gotten a lot of feedback from people of varying levels of education too. I've got it from people who just have a high school diploma or a GED, who told me that they followed my independent study syllabus. They were thankful because they didn't have to go through these expensive schools, these $20,000, $30,000 schools, and they were able to get it all with just by getting the books and learning. And they were grateful because of my help and my support, giving the independent study syllabus for free. I've had nurses who used it too and were able to get through, didn't have to pay for a program either, and they were glad because they still have student loan debt to deal with, okay? So there's resources on my channel. I am not a channel that likes to hawk, how easy and how quick it is. Why? Because I love this field. I love this field, and I expect people to become educated. And even if they have a situation where they're not able to get into a really good program, that they know enough to educate themselves so that they can learn more, because you can learn more on your own. You don't have to have somebody sitting here spoon feeding you anything. You can learn this on your own. And if you do need help, though, I understand some things, they don't make a lot of sense. Then go on LinkedIn, ask for a mentor. A mentor will help you for free. If you need to hire a tutor, there's also a ton of people on LinkedIn who do medical coding tutoring. I do tutoring myself. My rate and contact is in the description box below. But that's something that you can use to kind of help you. And I've gone through several videos where I've talked about the independent study syllabus and how to break it down and getting those 20 hours in per week. I do have the study trackers. The study trackers, if you don't know, they're a lot like those money savings challenges. I have them broken down into 80 hours for the month, because that's what you're putting in at 20 hours per week. You're putting in 80 hours per month, right? So when you do this, you can check off all of the times, because I have them in 30 minutes and 60 minutes, a little, is it circles or hearts or books, whatever the theme is for that particular tracker. You can see what I have available in the description box. But you highlight that, and you can have a visual record of seeing if you are on track, because you're doing 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunchtime, 30 minutes on your drive home. You could be listening to something. At lunchtime, you could be working with flashcards. And then you have 1 hour and 1 hour in the evening after you've done all your home chores, right? You could be studying with a workbook for that 1 hour, and then you take a break, and then you come back to it, and then you study for another hour. And guess what? Your family did not miss you. Your family did not miss you, because you have time to do this. You have time to squirrel in that time for yourself in order to learn this new career. This is going to build your discipline. It's going to build your stamina. It's going to help you with, having grit and sticking through it. And even when you don't feel like you've learned anything, like you feel like you still feel confused, you don't know, guess what? The discipline of studying and showing up and learning all these things is what is going to help you in the real world to do the same thing. It is fun, it is worthwhile, but it is not for those with a weak stomach, okay? And that's what my thing went off. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take you to do all of those things, because if you don't, you are going to end up lost and confused, like all these other people who are out here complaining that they still don't understand coding. You're not putting in enough time. You're not putting in enough time. And if you think 80 hours is a long time to do for 8 months, or not 8 months, but for 9 months, think about how much more stronger you would be as a coder when you've been studying for 9 months at 80 hours per month. That's 720 hours that you've put in. And you don't think you'd be able to pass that test? You would absolutely be able to pass your certification exam, because you put in all those hours. You've been reading the coding guidelines once per week. You've been following the self-study, or you've been sticking with the 20 hours per week. That's how you get to be successful, by showing up and being consistent and doing the things like you should, okay? Because that's how it's going to get easier, is by you putting in the time. Not so much time that you're burning yourself out, right? Because people who say, oh, I studied for long stretches of time and now I have a headache. Well, you are in that headache. Do it again, so that way you can learn. Do that again, so that way you can learn. So that way you can learn to start listening when somebody's giving you sound advice and telling you that this is how you need to study, so that you can absorb the information, because it is so much. And if it sounds like it's just too much for you, pick another career field. I'm talking to those people who are really serious about wanting to learn it and saying, you know what, I can do this, because you absolutely can. I just want people to be successful. I don't want people to be taken advantage of. I don't want people to be out here thinking that this is so easy, or that they know and they actually don't know. Because the person who is not putting in all of this time and is just getting a false sense of confidence because they're using multiple choice, which I tell y'all in the workbooks that I recommend to cover up the answers, so that way you can start looking up the codes yourself, and that way you can start getting good practice. Because if you're looking at multiple choice, then you're going to start learning how to do process of elimination. And process of elimination is only to help you if you're really in a jam and you didn't learn something. If you didn't learn something, you didn't learn something. But that's not a reason to lose your whole exam because you don't know how to code one thing. That's when you use process of elimination, but you should not be using it for your whole test. Maybe 10% of your test, but not the whole test. Because when you take a medical coding certification exam, it is about competence. It is supposed to test your competency, and you should not be taking it a second sooner than when you are confident or when you have completely gone through your self-study and you've been able to learn and you've been able to be prepared enough to get in there. 720 hours minimum is what it's going to take. But I'm telling you, or 720 is what it's going to take, right? But you're sitting there and you go through So you want to make sure that you are studying and you are putting in the time, because that is what is important. Okay, so do that. 20 hours per week, 80 hours per month, 9 months minimum. Okay, and so that way you can be prepared. If you are feeling unprepared, it's because you did not do 20 hours per week. Anybody who's putting in 20 hours per week will feel prepared. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.